International, and now it's time for our first segment in this edition of the Breakfast Show, in which we will be talking about the foreign direct investments, especially at this critical period that Egypt is passing through. And it's worth mentioning that a total of $5 billion in foreign investments left Egypt during the last 6 months of year 2012. The Central Bank of Egypt announced that direct foreign investments declined by 94.1%, or $1.75 billion in the first quarter of the current fiscal year. And to talk to us in details about this issue, we're pleased to be joined with Mr. Ahmed El Garhy, who is a human development expert at the American University in Cairo. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. And of course, first of all, we want you to talk to us about the importance of direct foreign investments here in Egypt and kind of the rate of what has been going on recently with the foreign investments. Every day we hear that more and more foreign investors are pulling out their investments out of Egypt, unfortunately.
First of all, to start, we have to clarify and highlight the importance of the foreign direct investment. It is pretty important for any economy to have liquidity injected into the market. And currently, all the major countries in the world, they depend on sorts of private investments that would help along with the governmental policies to achieve the objectives set by the government on both the short term and the long term.
Mm-hmm.
As you in your introduction mentioned that we in general we are facing a declining rate of foreign direct investments in Egypt. However, in the last quarter of the last year, there's been some money injected into the market in terms of those FDIs, as per the report here issued by the Egyptian Central Bank, saying that in the last quarter of the year we have over 1.8 billion US dollars FDIs came into the Egyptian market. And the good thing about that is that this money injected is not coming from one source, because this is one of the most important rules of getting FDIs into any country. As we all know, the rule of thumb, do not put all eggs in one basket.
Of course.
So yeah, those FDIs coming to the country should not be coming from one source. Otherwise, this will be very critical, especially that, you know, economics and politics are almost one thing. So if you are demanding or depending on just one source of investment, this will be very risky in terms of that they will start controlling your policies on the short and the long term.
So what were the sources?
Yeah, we have in the first place the United Kingdom, and they have like around 12.3% of the foreign direct investment coming to Egypt. And this is in dollars. It is almost 2.2 billion US dollars coming from the United Kingdom. And actually, the EU countries overall, they have the first places. And this is something that people might not know. We think that they come from different other sources, but those coming from the EU countries are in the top 5. So in the second place, we have surprisingly Belgium. They have quite heavy investment in Egypt, over 1.5 billion US dollars injected only last year. And we have in the third place the Dutch investments coming from the Netherlands. And in the fourth place, we are having Italy. So this diversity is quite important for the security of the long-term policies of the government.
But I want to understand how they were not affected by what's happening in Egypt in light of the insecurity in the country, instability. How come these investments were not affected, negatively affected?
Well, in finance we have a golden rule that says the higher the risk, the higher the return.
Okay.
Nowadays, considering the risk factors in Egypt, on top of them, of course, is the political instability. This makes the risk higher. However, this represents an opportunity. And if we follow the previous or the last visits of President Morsi to the EU countries, he was trying to give them some guarantees about the current situation in Egypt. Maybe it was not that effective, but we can see that into figures that some countries and some actually some companies from those countries, because they are not governmental, they are private, they decided to take the risk. And of course they are making much more money than what they might make into other different countries. That's why they decided to take the risk. So even in the most unstable countries like Syria nowadays, in Afghanistan, you will find companies that are operating there because what they make is really high considering the high risk over there.
I thought it's the opposite.
Yeah, very interesting. Now, what is BPO industry, or business process outsourcing, and how is that useful for a country and the investments coming in?
Yeah, this is a very good question, in fact. In order for us as Egypt to attract those FDIs, most of them are actually directed, or actually 60% of them are directed into the energy and petroleum sectors. And those sectors in particular, they are not highly intense in terms of the workers over there, the personnel and the workforce. So 60% is directed into such industries. And this is not that effective in terms of employability rates in Egypt. So the BPO industry, or the business process outsourcing, represents a very good magical clue for Egypt as a country in terms of many things. Number one, the employability rate of this industry is very high. And this is one of the direct forms of the FDIs. Simply, companies in the Western world, like in the US, in the UK, in Australia, New Zealand, they outsource their back office operations into other countries for many reasons. The first reason is to reduce the cost, because the average salaries in Egypt, for example, or in India, or in Pakistan, or in the Philippines, is not that high, or is not as high as those in Canada or the US or Australia. So they save from 40 to 70% of the operating cost of their operations. The second thing is that they need to guarantee high quality, or the same level of quality for their back office operations over there. So they look for countries where there are talented workforce, where people can master foreign languages, because they will need to deal with those countries offshore or overseas. So this BPO industry is actually one of the very few things that we as Egypt are ranked amongst the top 10 countries around the world. 5 years ago we used to be number 36, and then by time we came right now number 4 all over the world. So this industry represents a very good hub for the government. Number one, to find thousands of employment opportunities for the Egyptian youth, and number two, to utilize the infrastructure that the government has been working on for the past decade, especially in the IT sector, and number three, to make use of the quality of the talent pool that we have. In fact, the leading countries in the BPO around the world are India, Indonesia, and Malaysia, and China. And Egypt comes number 4, in fact.
So there are challenges, I mean, here in Egypt?
What do you mean by challenges?
Why Egypt is ranked 4th, not
actually,
from the first?
We were number 36 and we came until number 4. So actually we are going up. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, this is according to A.T. Kearney, which is one of the leading institutions around the world in ranking countries when it comes to the outsourcing industry. And they make this ranking based on 3 main factors. The first one is the financial attractiveness of the country, and the second is the availability of the talent pool and the quality of it, and the third thing is the infrastructure provided. So in fact, what makes us currently number 4 is that we have large talent pool that they can rely on. India, of course, they are over 1 billion right now, so they have a larger number of people, but skills-wise, we are better than them. So in the near future, if we focus on building the talent, this will be our way to be in the 3rd, 2nd, and then probably in the 1st place in the upcoming 5 to 10 years, probably.
Hopefully, sir. So this is one form, the BPO. What about the other forms of the foreign direct investment?
Well, one of the most important other direct forms of the FDIs is what we call the BOT, or the Build, Operate, Transfer System.
Okay.
Yeah, this system is simply directed into the infrastructure projects. So, for example, we have We as a government, we want to build a railway system between Cairo and Aswan. We want to upgrade it, for example, or to build a parallel one. So this is huge investment, and currently all the